Good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are you doing this evening? This is your brother Tony, and I got some good soul food for you this evening. I hope that you are ready to get into it because this menu that I got for you tonight, my brother and sister, I want you to enjoy it to the fullest. This is some good soul food for you. And you know, my brother and sister, I provide you with some very good soul food. And the soul food that I present to you, my brother and sister, is basically spiritual in nature. And when I taught my brother and sister, I basically taught somewhat in a parable type of way. So I use illustration to prove a deep spiritual concept. If this is your first time being at the dinner table, my brother and sister, you are in for a treat this evening. And come on in, brothers. Come on in, sisters. This table is set. All you have to do is sit down and get ready for me to put the food on your plate because you going to enjoy this menu tonight. How you doing, Sister Flo Harvey Martin? I see that you have came in and sat down at the dinner table. Now, I want you, brothers and sisters, to be aware of this. I'm on two different platforms. I'm on the book and I'm on the tube. Those of you that are on the book, I may make a comment to those that are on the tube, what you can't see, but I can see it. And those of you that are on the tube, I might make a comment to those that are on the book. You can't see it, but I would like for you, brothers and sisters, to know we are here together. It's family time, and we are about to enjoy this meal tonight. Now, if this is your first time looking at this broadcast, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony M. Toomer, and I talk about relationships. I talk about relationships from a biblical point of view. When I say a biblical point of view, my position is I believe strongly when you go to the book of Genesis, God had a unique relationship with the man Adam first. Secondly, he had a unique relationship with the woman Eve. Thirdly, God represented the woman to the man, and in the presence of God, Adam said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, I should call a woman because she came from man. That's the position I come from, my brother and sister. Now, if you believe in another type of relationship, you have what is called a free will. You could do whatever you choose to do, but I would like to let you know when you sit down at the dinner table, I basically talk about the relationship from a biblical standpoint, from God creating the man Adam and he creating the woman Eve and what comes after that. So since that is out the way, my brother and sister, tonight on the menu, we're going to talk about why does the grass look greener? And I know a lot of you brothers and sisters, you have heard of that slogan, uh, the grass look greener on the other side. Thank you, Casper, for that donation. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. Now, we're about to get into this particular topic. Why does the grass look greener? Now, there are some men and women, my brother and sister, listen to me carefully. There are some men and women that appears to be in a good relationship. However, there's something deep within some of these men and women, and they really have this craving uh, that they are lacking something in their relationship. And they can be in a good relationship. Believe it or not, my brother and sister, a man and a woman could be in a good relationship, but still that man and woman may crave something what appear to be better on the outside. Why is that? Because either that man, that woman, or both of them, they feel within that they're lacking something in their relationship. Now, the question, my brother and sister, is this: should a man or woman take a risk and test to see if there's someone better outside the relationship? You understand? So if a man and woman is currently in a good relationship, should that man or woman risk and take a test and see whether or not there's something out there? Now, unfortunately, my brother and sister, there are a lot of good relationships. So some of you brothers and sisters, you got to understand this. If a man and a woman step outside the relationship all the time, it doesn't mean that there's chaos in their home. It doesn't mean that. So I don't want you, brothers and sisters, to think if you hear or see a man or a woman that's in a serious, committed, or covenant relationship step outside the bounds of their relationship, that there's chaos within the relationship. A lot of time there's not. Now, like when we go back to the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve, they had the best setup in mankind history. Adam and Eve. There's no man or no woman that have experienced to the fullness what Adam and Eve experienced. Adam and Eve was in a perfect situation. Both of them had a perfect separate relationship with God. Then they had a relationship with God collectively. They had it made. They didn't have to worry about anything. They had continuous happiness. However, Eve and Adam, or Adam and Eve, they both made a decision. And their decision caused them to kick out of their home, the best home a man and woman ever had. So if Adam and Eve made a crucial decision and they had everything good once upon a time, and both of them had the perfect relationship with God and they had a perfect relationship within themselves. But when you look at Adam and Eve, it appears like they thought that they was lacking something in a relationship. So when they were lacking something in a relationship, they stepped over, and we know the story that there was a communication with Satan, right? So it's the same principle today, my brother and sister, when it comes to a man and a woman, and we're imperfect, but there are some things that can go down. Have you ever wondered this, my brother and sister? The devil, he will bring you a platter. And when the devil bring you a platter, just say, for example, he bring you this platter and he take the top off the platter, and whatever your favorite thing in there, when I say favorite, your favorite sin is in there, and Satan just say, take it and eat. Majority of the time, a man or a woman is going to taste what's on that platter. Okay? Because the devil don't make you do anything. And you remember, my brother and sister, remember what Flip Wilson used to say, the devil made me do this. The devil do not make you do anything. Brother and sister, we choose to do things. All the devil do is bring that silver platter out there, take off the lid, and we indulge in it. So the devil or Satan, he will bring that favorite platter to you because he know that you desire something. Brother, Satan know what you like. Sister, Satan know what you like. And you're going to hear this part again about that platter, but you're going to hear it a little later. Now, what is temptation? How you doing, Sister Ingrid? Sister Ingram said, what's your Cash App? Please send a link. You help me so much. You are huge blessed. And I send it to you, Sister, after the broadcast. I'll send it to you. How you doing, Sister Deborah D. Scott? How you doing, Sister Rosa? I'm here for this subject. Thanks for answering. Okay. You're welcome, sister. I told you I was going to do it for you. So now, temptation. And we're not talking about the group from Motown. We're talking about the word temptation, my brother and sister. Temptation is clearly defined from the dictionary. It's a desire to do something, especially something wrong or unwise, or to say it differently, temptation is a desire to engage in something short-term for enjoyment that threatens something long-term. That's what temptation is. A man or a woman, in his or her mind and heart, exercise the will to engage in something short-term for pleasure. And that's part of the grass is greener on the other side, but it threatens something long-term. Okay? Now, we got to go to the book of John, not the book of John, but we're going to go to James. James chapter 1, 14 through 16. That's James chapter 1, 14 through 16. James chapter 1, 14 through 16. Now, James was inspired by the Spirit of God to really get deep into what temptation is. So this is what James said. He was inspired by the Spirit of God to write this. It said, but every man, he didn't say some men. He said every man. That's including your brother Tony. That's including every man, and that including every woman. It said, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away by his own lust. Brother, you have lust. Your brother Tony have lust, and you sisters, you have lust. And enticed. We all are enticed. Then when lust have conceded, it brings forth sin, and when it finished, it brings forth death. How you doing, my little sister Renee? And how you doing, Mama? Welcome to the dinner table. Now listen again. You have to listen to this carefully. How you doing, Sister Monica? According to James, the brother of Jesus, James said, but every man is tempted. Let's stop right there. If James said every man is tempted, my brother and sister, everyone that listens to the sound of my voice, you could be in the best relationship, but you going to be tempted. Brothers, you may love your wives, but you going to be tempted. Sister, you may love your husband, but you going to be tempted. My brother and sister, we are no better than Adam and Eve. The only thing Adam and Eve had on us, they was perfect. That's the only thing they got on us. They was perfect. But however, Adam and Eve made a decision. They exercised their will, and they were tempted. And when they was tempted, what does tempted? It mean drawn away by your own lust when you are enticed. So my brother and sister, you could be in the best relationship. I know you will be tempted. I know because I have been tempted before. And I'm telling you this, Cinderella probably have been tempted too, my wife. So don't think you, brother and sister, that if you get in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship that you will not be tempted. Because that's what Satan knows. Satan know what you like, brother, and he know what you like, sister. He know what I like. He know what Cinderella like, okay? So you be tempted. You are drawn away by your own lust, okay? Because Satan know what you like. And you are enticed. What do I mean by enticed? That's what I told you, my brother and sister. Satan would bring a platter out there, and he would take the top off because he knew what you like. So it's going to look delicious. That's how he got Eve. He tempted Eve. He enticed Eve, but he didn't make Eve do it. Eve made a decision. She exercised a will. Adam exercised his will. And when they exercised their will, that lust by them being enticed, it conceived, and it brought forth sin. So they did wrong. And when they finished, it brought forth spiritual death. How you doing, Sister Geraldine and Sister Monica? Welcome to the dinner table. Now, my brother and sister, the grass always look greener on the other side. What does that mean? Some of us have a concept of what the grass look greener mean, but when we go to the dictionary, it means when someone is not satisfied with their own lot in life and always assume that there are something better things in the other place. You understand? So in general, my brother and sister, we are not completely happy. Even if God bring the right woman to your life, brothers, sister, even if God bring the right man to you, you got to understand it, brother. Your wife cannot make you 100% happy. Sister, your husband cannot make you 100% happy. That's why you shouldn't put your husband or your wife up on a pedestal. How you doing, Brother Brandon? Now, this leads me to a story about Abraham and Lot. This is your appetizer before I get to the main course, my brother and sister. We got to go to this thing about the grass is green and come setting up the stage. So this is your appetizer. How you doing, Sister Teresa? Now, if you are familiar with Abraham, Abraham was the father of the Jews. And all nations are blessed by Abraham. Everyone that knows about God's word has heard about Abraham. Okay. Abraham is the guy that the Lord appeared to and told him, I want you to leave your father, your mother, everything that you have, and I'm going to show you somewhere where I want you to go. He told his wife Sarah, and when he took his wife Sarah, guess who else with him? His nephew called Lot. His brother's son went with him. So it was Abraham, Sarah, some more people, and Abraham nephew Lot. Now, we're going to go to Genesis. There's a few passages in Genesis that we're going to talk. We're setting up the stage for the grass is greener, so I can get into. I'm trying to give you all a good concept of the grass is greener. We go to Genesis 13, 5 through 7. Genesis 13, 5 through 7. Genesis 13, 5 through 7. It said, now Lot, I'm reading from God's word. It said, now Lot, who was moved about with Abraham, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possession was so great that they were not able to stay together. And a quarrel arose between Abraham herdsmen and Lot's herdsmen. They had so much stuff, but the property and stuff that they was on, it could not contain them. That's just how wealthy Abraham and his son, his brother's son, his nephew Lot was. So there became an argument over some grass. Can you understand it? Something as simple as grass. The herdsmen, they had animals like cattle and donkeys and all that kind of stuff, right? So they started talking about your animals eating too much of the grass over here. So it was a conflict. So we go to Genesis 13, 8 through 9, and Abraham said to Lot, let us not have any quarrel between you and me, or between your herdsmen and mine, for we are close relatives. They had a relationship. For we are close relatives. It's not the whole land before you. Let's part company. If you go to the left, I go to the right. If you go to the right, I go to the left. So in Genesis 13, 10, 9, and this is the crescendo of the grass looked greener. It say, Lot looked around and he saw that the whole plain of Jordan towards Zoar was well watered, like the gardens of the Lord, like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed, here it go, before the Lord destroyed Solomon and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of Jordan that was set out towards the east. The two men parted company. Abraham lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain, pitched his tent towards Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord. Now, why did I tell you this story? Now, the concept, my brother and sister, of the grass is greener come from this story. You see, Lot, he he pitched his tent toward Solomon and Gomorrah, and it appeared that it was better grazing land, and it appeared better. That's what it is when the grass is greener. And I have told you this, my brother and sister, from when you look at your neighbor's yard, if you see some very beautiful green grass, you own your yard, so you're doing comparison and contrast. You may have a nice grass on your lawn, but you look at your neighbor's yard and it look greener. And I have always told you that, my brother and sister, the greener the grass, the more manure is over there. That's right. The greener, listen to me twice more. The greener the grass, the more manure. The greener the grass is more manure. And you all know what manure is, right? And I'm just using a nice term, but you all know what I'm talking about. So this is where the grass is greener comes from, that concept. Now, why does the grass look greener? Let's talk, my brother and sister. Now, the devil, again, he will bring out a platter of your favorite dessert. Brothers, he knows what gets you. Sister, he knows what gets you. Now, let's establish the fact, my brother and sister, that when it comes to a relationship, There is not one man that can please his woman 100%. There is no woman that can please her man 100%. Just marinate on that, my brother and sister. So, my brother and sister, if you are in if you moving towards a serious, committed, and covenant relationship, you need to understand this. Just because you get married, your mate is not going to be able to meet all your needs. And we're going to get real deep on this. Your mate will not be able to meet all your needs. Your mate, my brother and sister, cannot make you happy. You got to understand that your mate cannot make you happy. Why, my brother, and why, my sister, you trying to put a whole bunch of weight on your mate to make you happy? Your mate doesn't have that ability. And you can't make your mate 100% happy. The only one that could do something for you, brother, and you, sister, is Jesus himself. Every man and every woman have a void inside of them. And if you don't recognize it, you're going to try to put something in that void. Most men and most women do not know that they have a void there. And that void is yearning for something, is yearning for Jesus, okay? That's what every man and every woman yearn for. And you might not know it, but your yearning is for Jesus, not for your mate. Your mate comes secondary to Jesus. Now go back to the garden where Adam and Eve was in Eden. They start desiring something else, even though they was in the best situation. How you doing, Sister Cheryl? Welcome to tonight's dinner table. Sister Monica said, is this the main reason people cheat on their mate? That's a good question, Monica. Let me go back to this, Monica. Listen to me, sister. Listen. I got to go back to this. As it is written in James 1:14-16. James 1:14-16. James 1:14-16. Listen carefully, Sister Monica. It said, but every man is tempted when he's drawn away of his own lust. When it said man, that means a woman too, okay? It means a woman too. Listen, it said every man and every woman tempted because you're drawn by your own lust and you are enticed. And when lust have conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it have finished, bring forth death. Now, let me explain it to you, my brother and sister. A man and woman technically may not go outside of their relationship. Let me tell you this. If brother and sister, if you could read your mate's mind, I have always said this, if you could read your mate's mind, there will not be many marriages together. Thank God, brother, he won't let you read what's going on in your wife's head. Thank God, sister, he won't let you know what's going on in your husband's head. Before a man or a woman physically step out of the home, that man and that woman, they have to concede it in their minds. You see, the temptation, my brother and sister, it goes on in the mind. Jesus made this statement. Jesus said, if a man look upon another woman, he has already sinned with her in his heart. Jesus said this. So temptation take place in the heart before it take place with the body or going out. All temptations happen on the inside. You see, my brother and sister, we have what is called a soul. And that's the most valuable thing you own, my brother and sister, your soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotion. If you have the assets of this world, you really do not own it. God owns it. You don't own nothing. You borrow what you got. God give you things, and guess what? Satan give you things. Because this system is Satan's system. Jesus always tell you to put your affection up on high. where moths cannot eat it and thieves can't break in. So Jesus always wants you to focus on heaven and what's going to come after. Satan wants you to think about what's going on right now. So, sister, every man is tempted. Every woman is tempted. That doesn't mean that the man going to go outside his house and actually be with a woman. That doesn't mean a woman going to actually go out the house and be with a man. It starts in the mind. And if it starts in the mind, it can be carried out in the flesh. And it comes from a lack of knowledge. A lot of men and a lot of women do not understand the thing about temptation. Guess what? This may surprise some you brothers and sisters. Jesus, the Bible said that Jesus was tempted in all points. Do you understand it? It said Jesus was tempted in all points. It's some stuff in the Bible that you know about when Jesus was in the wilderness for those 40 days, and the devil came and tempted him right by turning stone to bread, worshiping him, and all that kind of stuff. That's documented, but Jesus was tempted in all points. What does that mean? You got to understand, Jesus was a 100% man, and he was 100% God. When Jesus came into this world, Jesus was the only perfect person in this world. Everyone that was around Jesus had a sinful nature. It said Jesus was tempted in all points. What does that mean? Jesus was tempted by women. If you want to get down to it, since we talk about relationship, Jesus was tempted by women, but he did not go that route. Women probably came onto Jesus, but he didn't go that route. The Bible said he was tempted in all points. Listen to it. Some of you think that Jesus just walked around and he didn't have no problems or nothing. Jesus was a man and he was a God man. He was God and he was a man. Jesus was living in the flesh. Jesus had fleshly desires. A lot of you don't want to acknowledge that Jesus had fleshly desires. Catholic said catcalling Jesus. Yeah, it was some women that were probably catcalling Jesus, because you got to understand this. Just look at it from a worldly standpoint. Jesus was popular. Let's look at it from the world standpoint. Do you all not realize that popular men, women gravitate to them? Have you ever noticed that? Men that appear to have power, men that appear to have position, men that appear to have money, no matter how they look, they will attract women. And their looks come last. When it comes to a man and a woman, the woman, her looks is the top thing. What do men think about when they look at women? Majority of the men, and I have told you this, my brother and sister, several times, I'm going to tell you this again. Men are visual. Women are visual too, but men more so are visual. Women, what really get women the most is a good talker. Men are visual. We look at on the outside, and when we look on what's on the outside, we direct, write, produce films in the mind. Let me tell you something, sister. Get ready. I'm going to tell you something from a man's standpoint. Most of the time when a man look at a woman, I didn't say all the time, most of the time, you got to understand, we live in this world and we come in with a sinful nature. Most of the time when a man look at a woman, he think about that woman sexually. There it is. Most of the time when a man look at a woman, he think about her sexually. I'm going to say that again. Most of the time a man look at a woman, he think about her sexually. I didn't say all the time. And I'm going to be generous. If you got 10 men maybe 8 or 9. Now, I'm going to say 7. 7 out of 10 going to purely think about a woman sexually. And the other 3, I'm reserving that for men that follow God. So the 7 men represent worldly men. And the other 3 men, they represent godly men. But let me tell you this, my sisters, if you don't understand that. Godly men, they look at women sometimes and they lust after women. So just because a man is a godly man, that doesn't mean that he don't think about a woman sexually, even though he's not married to her. And that leads to this point. And this should not surprise any of you. As of this night, this should not surprise you. Some of you get blown away when you find out that a preacher is wilding out. You get blown away. You hear about a man that's following God, and I'm not trying to justify it, but you got to understand. You get blown away and you get heart sick when you find out that your favorite preacher have been with another woman. He could be a single man and he have been with a woman or women. He could be married and he could be with one of the sisters other than his wife. And you all get blown away. Just because he's a preacher, you got to understand this. He's a man first. But he have more responsibility, because if he's a legitimate man, he is following after God. But he's a man first. Women, if this man got an ATM in his pocket, that what attracts most women. I didn't say all women. That would attract most women, the ATM machine. And another thing that attract women, don't get fooled, brothers. Women lust after men too. Because you got some women that got their own stuff together. And some women, they just got the attitude, all I need for a man to come and visit me every now and then. You got some women that will ask each other, do you got a friend? You all got to watch out for that term, this is my friend. What do that really mean? This is my friend. We got sense. We know what the word this is my friend mean. It means more than the quote unquote friend. So the lack of knowledge, my brother and sister, that leads a man and a woman to seek the grass is greener. A man and a woman. Sister Teresa said that devil is bad. He can throw that cat at you. He sure can. And let me tell you, brothers, you can have a good wife. She does everything that you want her to do. You love your wife, but you're not blind. You're still a man. Just because you love your wife, that doesn't mean that you're not going to see other attractive women. We're talking real tonight. That doesn't mean you're not going to see other attractive women. Your wife is not the only attractive woman that's walking around. And sister, you got attraction too. But you see, the thing about it is this. This is what I always say. Brother, check this out. If you go with your wife to the mall, or you go to let's say you go to your wife to the game. Let's say you go to see Tampa Bay play the Atlanta Falcons. It's going to be a whole bunch of people there. By the way, I love Tampa Bay because my boy Tom Brady there. Go to where Atlanta play. They come to Georgia. I go to see my boy Tom Brady, and I'm going to sit up there in the booth with my boy Ellison. We be sitting up there where they have that real good food at. Well, that's right. Ellison, my brother, he be hooking us up. And we be, but anyway, Tom Brady come to town. Him and the Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons, they come to town. They already there, right? So you take your wife. You think your wife just there, you think your wife don't notice other men. Bro, there's some men that more handsome than you are. Sister, there are some women that look better than you. I'm going to give you a situation. Women, in general, they are more smoother than men. What do I mean by this? Brother, you and your woman, you could be walking together, and your woman see an attractive man. She ain't no hardly do like this. She ain't no hardly do like that. She gonna your woman, she gonna look straight ahead because she gonna make sure that if she do it, you see, women, they do a real quick, how shall I say it? A scan. Women do quick scans. She not gonna disrespect you. She ain't no hard to disrespect you, but she gonna still look. Your wife is not blind. She still see attractive man. You ain't the only attractive man, and more than likely, you are not the first man in your wife's life. So don't get all bent out of shape, brother. But she's a woman. She is a woman. She see an attractive man. The attractive man walk by, she might not do all like this. She might not do all like that when you there. She ain't no hard to do it because what? She respect you. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't find that man attractive. And there are some women, your wife, she might have some thoughts about another man. But you can't read her mind. And then there's another thing, brother. A woman may come by you and you respect your wife. You're not blind. You see the other woman. You don't do all like that. Now, a lot of you guys, when you be with your boys and your wife is not around or nothing like that, you may do stuff like this. When a woman come by, you may do all of that. And when your wife, some of you sisters, when you be with your girls and your man is not around, some of you all be doing all this too. And y'all be high-fiving each other and stuff like that because of man, but you respect one another. Let me give you a situation. Let me tell you this, my brother and sister. Let me tell you this. And this is very funny. My wife and I, we went to an event in Miami, maybe about 3 months ago. My wife and I, we went to an event in Miami. So my wife and I, when we was in Miami, we were about to go on this little cruise, right? When I say cruise, it was like a little day cruise, right? So we went downstairs from our hotel room and we were standing on the outside waiting for our ride before we get on this little boat and just be on the water for a little while, right? Now, let me tell you, in Florida, check out where we at in Florida. And the weather was good. And there was all types of women walking around. And they were dressed in a way what they thought was comfortable. So my wife, she's standing right here on my left, okay? And I'm standing here. And it was this lady, she was coming from the right-hand side, right? Now, I was looking straight ahead. And the lady, she was coming by, right? She was, she was an attractive lady. Yeah, Teresa said she was half naked. She was an attractive lady. So I'm looking straight ahead, but I seen this lady coming with my peripheral vision, right? And my wife, remember, she's standing right there. So the lady, she walking by, and I'm still looking straight ahead. So the lady walked by like that, and I didn't flinch or nothing. And I still would look straight ahead. And my wife, Cinderella, did what Cinderella did, you all. Cinderella, she bent over and looked at me. And she said, did you see that lady? She said, that lady got a lot of behind, don't she, Tony? I said, what you talking about? She said, you seen that lady with all that behind? I said, what you talking about, Cinderella? But anyway, it goes back to this, my brother and sister. It goes back to this. The grass is greener. You got to count whether or not what's valuable to you. If you are in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship, you have to count the cost. Brother and sister, if you are in a serious covenant, committed and covenant relationship, Satan is going to attack you. It's a guarantee he's going to attack you. Do you not realize this, my brother and sister? I need to tell you all this. If you get into a relationship, there are going to be some men or women that's going to approach you, and you do not have to do the approaching. How you doing, Sister Linda? Welcome to the dinner table. You don't have to do the approaching. You see this, what I got on my hand, my brother and sister? Do you see what I got on my hand? You see this? This is called a wedding band. It's also called a chick magnet. Do you not know, my brothers and sisters, that a man that's married, if he chooses to, he can get more action when he's married and he's not pursuing other women? Think about that. A man that is in a serious, committed, and covenant relationship. How you doing, Sister Mara? That man does not have to actively pursue women. They will make it known that they want some action. Just like some men. Some men can see a woman's thing. And that's a challenge for some men too. And what these men and women do not understand is that they're being puppets controlled by Satan. Satan, brother, he knows what type of women you like. Sister, Satan knows what type of men you like. Satan study you. If you already out there, it's no problem. But when you trying to live rightly, when you're trying to please God, my brothers and sisters, when you're trying to be faithful to your spouse, that's when the temptation comes stronger. It comes stronger. So don't think, my brother and sister, just because you get married, that's going to eliminate temptation. I tell you what's going to happen for those of you that are single and you plan and you want to get married. If you are following God, the first thing, Satan don't like you following God. You got to understand that. He doesn't like you following God. He wants to break up your relationship with God. Then God presents you, brother. God calls you to find a wife. The Bible clearly said a man that finds a wife find a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. God brings a woman to you, the right woman, not a perfect woman. Sister, the man that finds you, he's not a perfect man, but he's the right man. So when God brings you together, you are a perfect couple, meaning you fit. That don't mean like that you flawless, but you fit. You understand? So when you come together and you love one another and you there for one another and you have all intention of doing one another right, I want to ask you this, my brother and sister. Is there any of you that have been unfaithful to God? That's the question. Before I go on, Any one of you, since you've been on earth, have you been unfaithful to God? Teresa said, yes. I'm going to tell you like this too. I have been unfaithful to God. You know why? Because Jesus came and died for me. Sister Linda said she had been unfaithful to God. Jesus came because we couldn't do it. When Jesus came, he died for all our sin. Jesus died for our sin before we was born. Remember, I told you, my brother and sister, the Lord see the whole parade. We see part of the parade. We got to stand there on the curve and wait till the whole procession go by. God does not. God is standing on the top of the building and he see the whole parade from the beginning to the end. He see it before it starts, and he see it before it ends. God see the end before the beginning. We don't have that ability. We have to look at the beginning. God see the end and then go to the beginning. Case in point, when you read the Bible, right? The Bible is complete. It tells you it tells you when Jesus was coming. It tells you when Jesus came, and it tells you that he's coming again. And it tells you what things going to happen. When Jesus was going to come, it was prophesied. When Adam and Eve messed up in the beginning, God talked to Satan and he said, thou seed, he would talk about seed. And I'm paraphrasing it. He said that thou seed is going to bruise his heel, but thy seed is going to bruise his head. So what is God talking about? When Jesus got put on the cross, his Satan appeared to warn. That's what God meant by you going to bruise his heel. But when Jesus rose up from the dead, it meant that he's going to bruise your head. So Jesus conquered all. That's where that prophecy comes from. Everything that happened in the world, God already knew what was going to happen. He knew Adam and Eve was going to mess up. He knew that you were going to mess up. He knew that I was going to mess up. I have been unfaithful to God on so many occasions. And so have you, my brothers and sisters. You have been unfaithful. Now, I want to ask you this question, my brother and sister. God is not surprised that we have been unfaithful to him. God is not surprised when we fall on our face again. God is not surprised when we're going to come and say, I'm sorry, Lord, forgive me. He's not surprised. That's why he sent Jesus to die for all our sin, because he knew we were going to mess up. The Bible clearly say that he that is without sin, he that say that he was without sin is a liar. You understand that? He that is without sin is a liar. So my brother and sister, if you cannot be 100% perfect, faithful to God, how can you demand your mate to be 100% perfect for you if he or she mess up? Just think about that. How can you, brother, if you marry, how can you expect for your wife to be 100% to you when you ain't been 100% to God? Faithful. Sister, how can you expect your man to be 100% faithful to you and you ain't been 100% faithful to God? That's where love unconditional. Now, what I'm talking about, that's right, Sister Teresa said, 1 John 1:9, 1 John 1:9, 1 John 1:9. You all read that. I'm telling you, my brother and sister, when you get into a relationship, this is for those of you that say, if I find out my mate have done something outside our relationship, I'm going to divorce court. That's what a lot of you bent on. That's your what you call it? That's your breaking point. What is another word for it? When you got this one limitation, you got this tree in your Eden. Let me tell you something, my brother and sister. When you get into a relationship, brother, with a woman, sister, when you get into a relationship with a man, you got to understand this. And this is deep. You got to understand this. There is a possibility that your mate may step out on you. There is a possibility that you might step out on your mate. You stepped out on God. How many times have you stepped out on God? You see, now you got some men and women, they're real hypocrites. They love unconditional. What I'm saying, I'm not endorsing stepping out. So don't get it twisted. I'm not endorsing stepping out. I just want you all to be cognizant or understand that there's a possibility. So my brother and sister, when you get into a serious a serious committed covenant relationship with a man and a woman, there's a strong possibility that one of you might be unfaithful to the relationship, or both of you might be unfaithful to the relationship. That doesn't mean that I'm talking about going having sex with someone. Now, a lot of you instantly instantly thought that I'm talking about going outside having sex. You don't actually have to go outside your home to do wrong. Some men and some women, Teresa said, it hurts and I want to get back on him. Yeah. Sister and brothers, you got to understand this. When you go into a relationship, that's why you need wisdom. That's why you need knowledge. That's why you need understanding and you need discernment. You got to be able to operate just like God. You need the mind of Christ. If you are saved, you have the mind of Christ. So you have to move like Christ. You're not always there and you never will be until the Lord comes, when you see everything how it really is. But my brother and sister, when you get into a relationship, listen to me. Because there are some of you, you want to bail out. Let me tell you, before it get to sex, before your mate has sex with someone, if your mate choose to have sex with someone, that your mate was unfaithful to God first before he or she was unfaithful to you. Understand that. If your mate decide to go be with another man or another woman, your mate was unfaithful to God first before you. Let me give you an example. When David was king of Israel, and a lot of you familiar with this story, David committed adultery. That's right. King David, the second king of Israel, that was called a man after God's own heart. King David, the lion killer. King David, the bear killer. King David, the Goliath killer. King David, the great warrior. During the battle of the kings, instead of David going out there to fight, David one day decided, I'm going to stay here and chill to the next episode. He was not a part of Snoop Dogg then, but he said, I'm going to chill to the next episode, like Dr. Dre them, but he went with Dr. Dre them. He said, I'm going to just chill to the next episode. So David, the war was going on. King's supposed to be out there with the boys, right? He didn't do it. So David got up in the latter part of the day. When David got up, he went on top of his roof at his castle. He was looking around, and lo and behold, he seen Bathsheba taking a bath because she was purifying herself. She just had came off her menstruation. Now she was in that point where she could get pregnant. I put it that way. You women know what I'm talking about. She was at that point where she could get pregnant. Okay. Ovulation. So anyway, David stood on the top of his castle, and he was looking down at Bathsheba. When David was looking down at Bathsheba, David was saying, This is what David was going through. Listen to this. We're going back to James 1:14 through 16. James 1:14 through 16. James 1:14 through 16. It said, but every man is tempted when he's drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So David started having lustful feelings because he was enticed by Bathsheba. It didn't say whether Bathsheba was trying to get him enticed, but he was standing there and he was enticed. It's just like Satan told David, come up here on the top of the roof. Since you just chilling out, come on top of the roof. Satan know that Bathsheba was down there taking a bath. He knew it. And you see, you brothers, since you got to be able to see, it's a spiritual thing going on. Satan was involved in this. Even though his name was not that, he was involved in it. So David up on top of the roof, Satan was talking in David's mind saying, she sure look good. Look at all that Bathsheba hair. Look at it, David. And David probably saying, yeah, she does look good. And David probably saying, what I could do with that woman. So what did David do? David got one of his boys that worked for him. He asked him about Bathsheba. David had his boy to go set up the situation. Bathsheba came where David was at. Bathsheba had sex with David. David knew she was married to Uriah. Uriah was one of David's best footmen. He was out there fighting for David. So David got this man's wife, slept with her. What some people say, they had an affair. They didn't have no affair. That was adultery. David slept with Bathsheba. He got her pregnant. Bathsheba sent word back to David, I'm with child, and you the daddy. David had a problem. So what did David do? David said, I got to fix this problem. So David said, this is what I'll do. I will give Uriah some days out from fighting. And when I give Uriah some days out from fighting, he's going to come home, and the first thing he's going to do, he's going to eat, and then he's going to go have sex with his wife Bathsheba. Wrong. Uriah did come. But you know what? Uriah, he did not go home to his wife Bathsheba. Because he said, why should I go and enjoy my wife and stuff when my other brothers out there fighting? That's just how loyal Uriah the Hittite was. So he stayed at David's door. David had a problem. That didn't work. So what David do? David had to go to plan B. What was plan B? To get rid of Uriah. So David wrote some letters and he put it in Uriah's hand and he told him to go take it to the captain. So Uriah was so faithful to David, he did not read what was on that letter. He went and gave it to the captain. And you know what was on that letter? It said, put Uriah at the hottest part of the battle so he could get killed. David gave that man his own life sentence. So this is what happened. Uriah was put at the hottest part of the battle with some more men. But those other men, they pulled back and Uriah didn't know it. So Uriah was there by himself. He got killed. So David said, I eliminate that problem. I eliminate that. Bathsheba hurt because her husband dead. So what David do? David said, since I got her pregnant, I'm going to make her one of my wives. David married Bathsheba. And David thought the problem was solved. Time went by. David did not repent. He did not repent. He didn't feel guilty. You see, it took place in David. It took place in David's mind and his heart and his will, his soul. So he took Bathsheba in. All Bathsheba in all her stomach, he took her and married her. So David thought he had solved the problem. He eliminated that woman's husband and everything. So while David was on his throne one day, this prophet came in, Nathan. He said, David, and some of you have heard it before. He said, David, I need to tell you a story. Do you have time to listen to it? David said, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, tell me what you want to say. He said, David, there was this one man. He had one sheep that he loved. And then there was this other man. He had a whole lot of sheep that he loved. The man that had all those sheep, he took that one sheep that man loved. Now tell me this, David, what do you think should happen to that man? David said that man should die. David said it was not fair. How can a man have a whole bunch of sheep and take one sheep from a man that all he had? David seen how unjust that was. So Uriah said, you the man. And David probably said, what you talking about? He said, wives and concubines, which represent all those sheep. He said, Uriah the Hittite, he had that one woman, Bathsheba. You took her away from her husband. God gonna judge you because it's called the matter of Uriah the Hittite. David had, not only was David an adulterer, David murdered Uriah. Now, some of you saying, how did David murder Uriah? He set him up to get killed. David committed adultery and David murdered. And you know what David said? He didn't blame nobody. He said, I have sinned against God. See, David recognized he had sinned against God before he sinned with Bathsheba because he thought about it all in his mind first. Then it took place physically. Satan set it up when David was supposed to be on his job, fighting out there. He cooled out the day. It was wrong from the get-go. David got off. David wasn't doing what God wanted him to do. So that's why it started going wrong. So what happened? That son that David was about to have the child was very sick. David prayed to God to heal the child. The Lord listened to him, but the Lord caused the child to die. The Lord took the child away from David. David was praying and crying and everything. The Lord said, the Lord probably saying, you could cry, you could pray all you want to, but I'm finna take you to the shed. But before God took it to the shed, before God punished David, let me go back. When the prophet told David, you killed Uriah and you got his wife pregnant, you are adulterer and you are murderer. But guess what? And this is what gets a lot of you brothers and sisters, you got to understand it. He said, God have already forgiven you. Just check that out. He said, God already forgiven you, but you about to reap what you sow. You see, that's the thing about it, my brother and sister. God does not eliminate his law about reaping and sowing. If you sow to the flesh, you reap the flesh. If you sow to the spirit, you reap the spirit. So back to the story. The child died. But he did have another son by Bathsheba. That was Solomon. Solomon was the third king of Israel. But let me tell you what happened. Based on that decision that David made, his child died. And you know, all those wives and concubines that David had, they started sleeping with other men. David slept with one woman. All those women that David had, they started sleeping with other men. And that was community news. The king wives sleeping with soldiers and other men. The king concubines sleeping with everybody. He couldn't stop it because that was part of reaping and sowing. Not only that, one of David's sons, raped his stepsister. David had a daughter and he had a son. They were step brothers and sisters. His son loved his stepsister, but he lusted after his stepsister. So he pretended that he got sick, and he told his daddy, David, I want this certain sister to bring me some food. So David, being the king, told his daughter, take your brother some food. So David's son and his son friend set the thing up. So when David's daughter, which was a virgin, she brought him some food. That man, that's right, it was Tamar. He brought, thank you, Sister Doree, that was Tamar, you're right. He brought her brother some food. He didn't want that food. He wanted her for food. So he grabbed her. And she said, don't do this, my brother. Don't do this. This wrong. This wrong, brother. He didn't care. He had lust. He threw his sister on his bed, and he took her virginity from her. The Bible said before he took it, he loved his sister. After he raped his sister and he he ejaculated in his sister, it was over. The Bible said now he hated his sister. He didn't feel the same way about her. He just took it from her. So she felt violated. And you all got to know during that time, it was very important that those girls stay virgin until they got married. So who was going to marry that girl? She's a virgin. I mean, she was not no virgin no more. So during that time, if a man found out a woman was not a virgin, he didn't want to marry her. So guess what she did? The girl that got raped. She went and told her brother, her natural brother. When she told her natural brother got pissed off. And he said, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. Guess what he did? He killed him. Oh, that wasn't only David's problem. From the grass is greener. David had a son called Absalom. Absalom was a handsome guy. He had long flowing hair. Absalom wanted to eat David's lunch. What do I mean? Absalom wanted to be the king. So what happened? When people had judgment, they would go into David. David would say how it's going to be, like David the judge. When they came out, Absalom changed the verdict to the people like him. So the Bible said that Absalom stole the heart of the people. So when Absalom stole the heart of the people, he was going to take it from David. Don't you know, brother and sister, that David's son Absalom had his dad on the run? David had to leave home. So when David left home, he was on the run from his own son. So David told his captain, he said, I want you to go after Absalom and his army, but don't kill my son. That was David specifically told his captain. He said, don't kill my son. Guess what happened? Absalom was riding on his horse, right? He went under a low tree and the branches was low. The branch grabbed Absalom's long hair and the horse kept running. So Absalom was hanging by the tree. It had his hair, right? I can't demonstrate that because, you know, my hair, I got to go put my hair back on. But Absalom had hair. And he was hanging by his hair. He was trying to get down. That same man that told David, don't kill my son, he killed David's son. Not only that, he had to come and tell David aloud that his son died, but he didn't tell David that he killed his son. What else happened to David? When David got real sick and it was time for him to die, another one of his sons thought that he should be the king. But guess what? Bathsheba and a prophet, they started talking to David about making Solomon the king. His other brother thought that he was going to be the king because his dad was about to die. So David listened to the prophet and he listened to Bathsheba. So they made Solomon the king. David died. His other son got pissed off, and he was going to take it from Solomon. Do you not know that Solomon had to deal with his wife up to the point of, Solomon had to deal with his brother to the point of death. So what am I saying? David thought the grass was greener. And when David thought the grass was greener, because David had a good relationship with God, he had all those women, and they were faithful to him. But when David thought the grass was greener, and he went over to the other side, he fell down. The same thing, go back to Lot. Lot thought the grass was greener, and what happened to Lot? Lot ended up in Solomon and Gomorrah. Those people were so wicked. The Lord came down with two angels. They was in human form, right? They was in human form. He told Abraham, he said, should I keep this from my servant Abraham? So the Lord told Abraham that what he was going to do to Solomon and Gomorrah. And then Abraham was trying to reason with God. And he started at a high number. If you had, and it got all the way down to, if the Lord said it was just one person, I would spare Solomon and Gomorrah. So the two angels in human form, they went down to Solomon and Gomorrah. Those two angels that was in human form, those men of the city thought, they looked at those angels as men. That's right, Teresa. That's his name. They looked at the angels as they were men. And the men came and knocked on Lot door and said, hey, we want to get to know those men in your house. And Lot pulled the door behind him, and Lot said, you can't do that to him. You can't do it. Lot said, take my daughters. And they said, we don't want your daughter. We want those two men. That was some homosexual activity. Those men wanted to sleep with those angels. Because Lot thought the grass was greener. Remember what I said earlier, my brother and sister. If you in your own yard and you look at somebody else's grass and it's look greener, what did I say? It's more manure there. Anytime you see a whole bunch of grass, it's more manure. And you all know what manure is, right? That's like when it comes to a relationship, my brother and sister. If you in a decent relationship, and if you think that the grass is greener, it's not greener. It's never greener. I'm here to tell you, my brother and sister, it's never greener. Some of you brothers, you got some good women. Even though you may have some ups and downs, why would you want to leave her and go with another woman? Especially, brother, if God have got you up on a platform somewhere. You got respect from men and women. And your wife, your family, they respect you. But you want to turn around and go date a Jezebel. You want to date a Delilah. Don't you know, brothers, that there are some women that they envy your wives? And they are jealous of your wife. What do I mean? You see, envy and jealous is two different things. Envy means they want what your wife has, which is you. They jealous of your wife because they want that you're not giving them no attention. So that's what jealousy is. When you want attention, the attention that you think you deserve. That's what jealousy is. Now, some people, they get the jealousy and envy mixed up. But those women, they envy other women and they jealous of your wife. Because why does she deserve him? Why does she deserve him? I deserve him. And you got to be careful, brother, because if you have a good relationship with your wife, you got to understand, these women that are going to be coming after you, they are puppets through Satan. And they might not realize it. Say know what you like. And you sisters, you have a few problems with your man. And this guy at work or whatever, he's talking to you. So so this man talking to you, you know he like you, but what? You start entertaining this man. And you don't understand, he's like a puppet too. Satan putting that man on you. And the next thing you know, you getting soul tied to this man on the outside. So, brother, you think that the grass is greener. It's not. Listen to me, brother. The grass is never greener. Sister, you think that grass is greener out there. It's never greener. It appears to be greener. It's an appearance. It's an illusion. It's not real. My brother and sister, the Bible clearly say, brothers and sisters, a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. Brother, if God calls you to find a good woman, which is going to be one of his daughters, sister, if God calls a man to find you, which is a son of God, that man and that woman will not be perfect. You're not getting a perfect person. You get a person that had a sinful past, like you had a sinful past. You got a person that will have to face temptation like you face temptation. You got to make that both of you are, when the Lord put you together, you got to understand this. You single brother, single sister, you got to understand this. Satan's going to tempt your relationship. He's going to tempt it. You got to prepare for the battle. If you fall in God and God put you together with that woman, brother and sister, God put you together with that man, you're going to be attacked. It's no ifs and buts about it. It's just a matter of when and who's going to do it. So do not ever think, brothers, do not ever think, sisters, even if you up in age, there's somebody that, let me tell you something, brother and sister, there is someone, brother, that wants your woman. Sister, there's somebody that wants your man. So, brother, don't ever think that you're the only one that wants your wife. Sister, don't ever think you're the only one that wants your husband. Satan wants your husband. Satan wants your wife. So what's Satan going to do? He's going to strategically get someone to entice, because Satan know you got lust, brother. He know that you got lust, sister, and he's going to entice it. How you doing, brother? Here, welcome to the Tonight Then Take. He's going to entice you. He's gonna dangle that carrot in front of you. Speaking of dangling a carrot, picture this. You are on a buggy and you got this horse in front of you. Or a donkey. Let's say a donkey. You got a donkey in front of you. He won't move. You know what'll make him move? If you have a long like stick and you tie a carrot to the end of the stick and you put it right in front of that donkey, what he gonna do? He's going to start moving because he want that carrot. That's all. So, brothers, Satan going to dangle a carrot in front of you. Sister, Satan going to dangle a carrot in front of you. So, before you brothers and sisters get married, understand, you got to go into the relationship understanding this. I have been unfaithful to God. How can I have not been 100% faithful to God. So how can I expect my mate to be 100% faithful with me? Now, when I'm saying it, my brother and sister, I'm not endorsing a man or a woman stepping out of their relationship. Don't say Tony endorses stepping out. Tony is not endorsing stepping out. Tony is talking about reality. You did not have a perfect relationship with God. You messed up. But the Lord took you back. Another story before I get out of here. Hosea, and you are familiar with Hosea. Hosea married Gomer. God told Hosea to marry Gomer. Gomer was a street woman. Hosea followed God, but God said, go marry her. This woman had a reputation in the streets. She slept with everybody. But God said, go marry her. Hosea, even though he being a man, more than likely he didn't want to marry her because he probably hearing flat from his family and friends said, you know what type of woman that is? That's a woman for the streets, boy. He said, I got to do it. So he married, that's right, Teresa, he married a harlot. A harlot is a prostitute. You know what a prostitute is, my brother and sister? Let's get down to everyday prostitution. Sisters, listen carefully. If you giving a man sex because he get your hair done, because he give you some money and all that kind of stuff, you are a harlot. Some women have the concept, no money, no honey. If he doing things for you, then you think I might as well give him some because he doing something for me. You not no better than Gomer. Just because you don't get cash, anytime you getting resources from a man and you giving him sex in return, you are a prostitute. And he is a pimp. Or if you don't want to call him a pimp, what is he? Bill said the churches are hard. What Bill said? Let me see what Bill say. Something came up. Let me see what Brother Bill say. The churches are harlot. They're not faithful. Yeah, some members in the church are not faithful, Brother Bill. You're right. Some of them not. But I'm telling you, sister, listen to me this. If you think that you're not a harlot, you're a harlot if you're not married to that man and you give him sex because he paying your bills. Let's say that he paying your bills. He doing things for you, but he's not your husband. You might be living with him, but he's not your husband. You might call yourself going with him, but he's not your husband. But he's doing things for you. And so you think, okay, I'll give him a little bit. I'll break him off. That's right. It's called friend with benefit. That's right, Teresa. So that's the situation. But you're a harlot. And he's no better than you. So he participating in it. He's a John. And the same thing, it could be flipped around. Some of you brothers, you get women to do things for you, and then you a gigolo. Maury Day in the time said gigolos get lonely too, but you ain't lonely. You just using these women. But back to Hosea and Gomer. Hosea married Gomer. And you know what Gomer did? She went right back to her lifestyle. And she was working for a pimp. God told Hosea, go get your wife. Brother, I wonder what you'll do if God tell you to go get your wife and she selling, she putting out, and everybody know it. What would you do, brother? That'll be a hard pill to swallow. But anyway, Hosea, he could not just go get Gomer and say, come home. He had to pay to get her. How you doing, Sister Angela? He had to pay to get his wife back. He had to redeem her back. He couldn't, even though she was his wife, he had to pay to get his wife back. That represents what Jesus do for us, my brother and sister. When we sin, Jesus had to come into the world and he had to redeem us back. And he redeemed us with his blood. That's why he used Hosea and Gomer to illustrate the love he had for man and womankind. That's right. That's right, Sister Teresa. He had to buy his own wife back. And it was a spiritual thing. Like Jesus had to buy us back. You know what Adam and Eve did? Adam and Eve gave the deed over to Satan. They had the Garden of Eden. They had the world. But they did not know that they was giving up their rights when they dealt with Satan. So the Lord had to redeem us back. What does redeem mean? It means to purchase back or to get. That's just like when you go to a pawn shop and you go get that item, you have to pay to get the item back, right? You're redeeming it back. So the devil, the Lord had to come in and die and pay a debt, his blood, to redeem us back to God, to restore us back to God. So, my brother and sister, when it comes to Jesus done it. We have all been unfaithful to God because we think that the grass is greener. When I was out there wilding out in a relationship, I was doing it my way. And I have told you all this several times. I'm not ashamed to tell you because I was sinning big time. I was out there. When it comes to relationship, I was out there. I didn't have no problems. And I know I'm not dad on a bag of chips, but I didn't have no problems. Basically, majority of the women that I approach, I had a very successful rate. I'm not trying to be cocky or nothing. I'm not singing Billy D. Williams or Denzel Washington, but majority of the women that I communicated with, it went basically my way. I had I had more success than I had failures, I'll put it that way. But I was sinning. And the women that participated with me, they were sinning too because we were not married. I was doing it my way. And when I did it my way, I got married, but I did not consult God. I'm talking about before Cinderella. I did not consult God. I'm responsible for the decision that I made. I thought that the grass was greener. I did it my way. I didn't want God to choose no woman for me. I thought that I could choose my own woman. Why did I need God to choose a woman for me? I didn't ask God for no woman. I did it in my own strength. I did it with my own wisdom, which caused me to what? Fail. I failed, my brothers. I failed, my sisters. Some of you brothers and sisters right now, you failed in your relationship. You know why you failed? Because you did not consult God whether or not you should get in a relationship with a man or woman. There are some of you brothers and sisters, you are divorced. Present tense, you are divorced. There are some of you brothers and sisters that are about to go through a divorce. Majority of you brothers and sisters that go through divorce, God did not put you together. He did not put you together. You didn't go to God and inquire, and your mate didn't go. You all thought y'all was the couple of the year, and you got married. You got married for your own personal reason, brother. You got married for your own personal reason, sister. I got married for my own personal reason. Notice, I don't talk bad about my divorce. You know why? Because I was responsible. Some of you brothers and sisters, you have to be accountable for your choices. You can't be blaming these other men and women for your choice. You participated in it too. Look at yourself in the mirror. You made a choice. You made a choice. Instead of going around talking bad about your ex, he did this, she did this. And some of you brothers, you act like you angels. And some of you sisters, you act like you angel, but you don't tell what you did and what you didn't do. But you're gonna play the victim. Women aren't the only one that play victim. Men play the victim too. So before you say woe is me, you did not ask God about this person. You went by other things. You had your own agenda. Sister Arthur Angela said, I got married to do the right thing. I didn't consult God, and now I'm currently going through a divorce. Don't you? Yeah, Sister Arthur Angela. I understand, sister, because I did the same thing too, sister. In the past, I did it. But let me tell you something, Angela. You might have failed, but you're not a failure. Remember that, sister. You are not a failure. You just failed. Some people that we look at as success stories, they failed tests. They failed sometimes. Every person that you see, quote unquote, in this word that's successful, they failed some kind of way. If it wasn't in a relationship, it was in a project. Every man and woman will fail. When it comes to a relationship, most of us have failed in a relationship. Unless you one of those special couples that you met your high school sweetheart or your kindergarten sweetheart and y'all got married and you rolled off in the sun and you went to that silhouette of the moon and you live happily ever after. Some of you brother and sister, you ought to be in the Disney. You down to write a book about you, brother and you sister, to put you all in a Disney movie because that's how y'all relationship went, didn't it? But if a man or a woman is serious, they know that they have did some things wrong. I'm going to tell you, my brother and sister, just because you go through a divorce, that doesn't mean that you're a failure. You just failed at that. Every man and every woman have failed God. Every man and every woman have disappointed God. Every man and every woman have hurt God. Every man and every woman have been unfaithful to God. That's what a lot of you brothers and sisters, you get so hung up if you find out that your mate was texting somebody. You get out or having a secret talk or being with somebody. You want to say, that's it, it's over. What if God, my brothers, and what if God, my sister, when you rebel and cheated against him and he said, that's it, it's over? What would you do then? Some people are saying right now, I'm not God. I'm not God. I'm not there yet, Tony. But you know what, my brother and sister, you have to, the Lord said, be ye holy, for I am holy. You got to be just like Jesus. You see, anybody from the world that looking at this show right now, or they're going to look at it because it's going to be saved to Facebook and it's going to be saved to YouTube, right? People, worldly people that they're going to come look at this, right? And they're going to say, that man is talking crazy. I can't do that. You know why they can't do it? Because they don't understand unconditional love. They don't understand that there are not one man and not one woman perfect. They do not understand that they have hurt God and they have disobeyed God. They don't understand that. They are hypocrites. You got, especially when it comes to finding out about your mate. Your mate have even been talking to someone, because you got to understand, Satan going to bring people to your mate. You got to understand it, my brother and sister. Satan's going to do it. Sister Arthur Angel said, I gave him 13 years to change. Nothing has changed. Sister, you know what? No woman can make a man change, and neither can a man make a woman change. It's up to that's why we all have a free will. We all have souls. We have a mind, a will, and emotion. It's up to the will. God, and let me tell you this, my brother and sister, God does not force you, brother. God does not force you, sister, to stay in a relationship. He doesn't force you, because he's not going to go against your will. And for those of you that pray to God, God, will you make my husband do me right? God, will you make my wife do me right? He's not going to make them, because they got a free will. Now, if that man and woman want to do right, God would help that man and help that woman. But God is not going to do your free will, because God did not make no robots. Satan had a will, but he chose to do something wrong. You, brother, and you, sister, choose to do wrong. But Any relationship, my brother and sister, let me tell you this before I go. Any relationship can go right, but beware. There's nothing good about the grass is greener. It doesn't exist. The grass, listen to me, my brother and sister, before we leave from the dinner table. The grass is never greener. There are some men that leave a good wife and go mess with these women, and once they can't do what the woman want them to do, those women leave them. And the same thing, sister, you decide to leave your husband. This man is good, but you think you're missing out on something. Then you go with these bad boys, and then when they use you up and they discharge you, then you're going to come yourself and say, I had a good man. I had a good woman. And then you know what more than likely you're going to see? You're going to see, brother, your good wife happier with another man. And sister, you're going to see your man happier with another woman. Especially if that man and that woman following God. So you decide to leave the relationship. And you thought that person was going to just stay home and cry over you. He or she might have cried over you, but guess what? That last tear going to eventually fall. And when that last tear fall, God is going, if that man or woman is faithful, if that man or woman have a desire to be in a relationship, God is going to orchestrate that man to find that right woman. If that man pray for the right woman, if that woman pray for the right man, not the perfect man, not the perfect woman, but the right person, God is going to bring it to pass. Because the Bible clearly say, delight in the Lord. And when you delight in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your what? Your heart. Sister Anya said, I'm following God, but he's not. That's an unequally yoked situation, sister. If you following God, this go for all you brothers and sisters. If you following God and that man and woman is not following God, that's an unequally yoked situation. That's how it is. That's what God said. God don't want us to be unequally yoked. I have been in an unequally yoked situation, and I know what it means. You have to be equally yoked with someone. Even though that man and woman have another personality, you got to be equally yoked. Opposite does not attract. Don't ever think opposite attract. The only thing opposite is there's a man and that's a woman. That's why you opposite. It's a male and a female. That's why you opposite. But God wants, the Bible said, how can two walk together unless they agree? I'm telling you, brother and sister, if you believe in God and you trying to make things work with a word of man and a word of woman, it's not going to work. You're going to find yourself compromising to make the marriage or whatever work, and you're going to be in a situation where you putting that man or woman up on a pedestal, which is dangerous. You're going to try to please that man or woman, and while you're trying to please that man and woman, you're going to displease God. And while you're trying to please that man or woman, you putting that man and woman on a pedestal, which you making that man or woman an idol. And your desires are still going to be pulled from God. That's why it's dangerous, my brother and sister, to be in an unequally yoked situation. Because if you in an unequally yoked situation, it ain't only but two real fathers. That's the Satan and God. If the man or woman is not a follower of God, their natural father is Satan. Where the spiritual father is Satan. God only used human men and women to bring children in the world, but something more deeper than that, who is your spiritual father? Satan or God? It's going to be one or two. You're not no orphan. You got a daddy, but who's your daddy? And with that said, my brother and sister, I hope that you all enjoyed this particular broadcast. I hope that you enjoyed the feast that we had at the dinner table. I hope that you got filled up. I don't want you to go away, my brother and sister, starving. Take one of these plates with you. Share it with some of your friends. I want you to like, make some comments if you want to. If you're on the book, like and share if you don't mind. It's free. On the tube, Just subscribe if you're not a subscriber, like and make comments so they can enjoy this food too, my brother and sister. Okay? Because it's plenty and it's plenty more. Guess what, my brother and sister? Guess what? Guess what's on the menu for tomorrow night? Guess what's on the menu for tomorrow night? What are God's thoughts on having multiple partners? This is what we're going to talk about at the dinner table tomorrow night. What are God's thoughts on having multiple partners? You're welcome, Sister Arthur Angela. What are God's thoughts on having multiple partners? We're going to talk about God's thoughts when, brothers, you want to have more than one woman, wife, and sister, you want to do your little thing too. We're going to see what God thinks about it, okay? I love you, brother. I love you, sister. You all have a good night. Lord willing, we'll be here tomorrow at the dinner table. Peace out.